Yeah, you said that Ravnsborg was treated like anybody else. In this instance, it seems like he was treated much better. The sheriff allowed him to use his car to go back into town. And you also said the investigation was extremely thorough, but the investigation wasn't thorough at the very get-go, was it? If the sheriff didn't do a breathalyzer, if the sheriff didn't do a complete look around the accident area with, the high-powered flashlights that they normally have. But isn't it true that this sheriff made your jobs a lot harder and made it a lot more difficult for evidence to be gathered that might have helped you prove the elements of the crimes that could have shown that the Attorney General was responsible for the death of Mr. Beaver?
Well, with any investigation, in hindsight is 2020, and things can always be done differently after we know what has occurred. To play Monday morning quarterback and say that something should have been different, I don't know. This was a call out to an accident scene in a rural area. If you listen to the 911 tape, the audio indicates that the 911 operator reports that this is maybe a deer crash, and it would not be unheard of to have law enforcement go to a situation like that, and if they have somebody that they know or are comfortable lending a vehicle to, it would not be unheard of.
Last question on the phone, Black Hills Pioneer.
It was the dispatcher. It was the dispatcher who put the idea in the mind of Ravnsborg that he may have hit a deer, because in the transcript he says he doesn't know what he hit. Wouldn't it have been prudent by both Ravnsborg and the sheriff at that time to actually take a good look around to see if it was a person or if it was a wounded animal, to put it out of its misery, or so it doesn't impede traffic later on that evening?
With respect to law enforcement actions and how they were notified of the accident, what type, I'm certain that had there been suspicion that there was something other than a car deer accident, it would have been handled differently.
Can you tell us what the maximum penalty is for each of those three charges?
Each of the charges, as I indicated, is a misdemeanor offense. Yes. Each of them has a maximum of 30 days in incarceration in county jail, a $500 fine, or both of those things.
Service. Did you ever receive any pressure from the Attorney General or the Governor's office or anyone else in South Dakota to make these charges?
What was he doing at the time, and why didn't you see Joseph Beaver?
I wanted to ask, it sounds like you're saying that night the Attorney General walked by Beaver's body. Can you speak to exactly how long he looked and how that conversation was with him about seeing the body or finding the body or looking for something?
If this was a random person, would they have been arrested and charged first and then investigated after, or would it have been like this too, where...
Welcome to the Hedgehog Watchdog. I'm Devin Saxon, joined by Greg Baldwin. We're the meme team behind Libertarian Party of South Dakota and South Dakotans Against Prohibition. Today's episode is brought to you by Pinkhorn. You can check them out at pinkhorn.com. Lots in the news today. Ravnsborg was not charged with anything serious, pretty much a slap on the wrist. But before we get to that, our guest today is Corgan Larson. He's running for a House in 2022. How you doing today, Corgan?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Pretty good. So what do you think about this whole Ravnsborg situation?
I think it's ridiculous, to be honest. I think it's really unfair to the people of South Dakota that, he's not being charged with anything more serious than misdemeanors. Yeah. It's completely ridiculous, because if it was just a regular citizen who had committed one of these crimes, it would have been a lot worse for them,
Yeah, I've got 3 articles on standby. I'm saving for later when we talk about it, but they're the exact same situation: careless driving or reckless driving. Hit somebody, killed them, or hit a car and killed the occupant in the car, and they were charged that day with manslaughter. But Ravnsborg was not. We had to wait 5 months to even hear what Ravnsborg was charged with. What do you think about all this, Greg?
Well, I mean, I would have liked to seen him get charged personally, but even with that said, I think it's pretty shameful that 5 months later he hasn't resigned from his position.
Yeah,
and he should have done that months ago. There was articles that came out where certain groups where he normally would have represented them as the attorney general, but because he was under investigation, they weren't having him do his job. And then there's a lot of questions about, like with Amendment A lawsuit, you know, he obviously is not a supporter of cannabis anyways, but yet he was the one who stayed, he stayed in office so he could defend that lawsuit. And then now once the lawsuit was lost, he's refusing to appeal that decision. So, he's doing a terrible job, and he should have resigned.
I know, I think the law enforcement sent him a letter saying that they didn't want him to investigate officer-related shootings anymore. And he was like, yeah, I'll abide by that. It's like, okay, so he's not going to investigate officer-involved shootings, but he's going to investigate all those regular Joes. He's still going to be your attorney general for those cases? Like, give me a break. So, Corgan, where are you from, and have you lived in South Dakota your whole life?
Yeah, I'm from Sioux Falls. I was born and raised here. I've never lived anywhere else, so I'm pretty boring.
I'm the same way. Born in Sioux Falls. I moved to Lennox though because I don't know.
I mean, I love it here, to be honest. Though,
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of problems our state has, but overall, I think it's a lot better than other states.
Yeah. When and why did you become a libertarian?
It actually started in 2016 is when I first discovered the party, and I became a dues-paying member for a year there. And but last year, 2020, it was when Justin Amash actually switched over to the Libertarian Party when he was in Congress. That's what really caught my attention. Really wanted me to get more involved with the state party. So I reached out. I think I was messaging you, Devin. I just messaged the LPSD account. And figured out you guys didn't have an Instagram or anything. So I asked if I could start an Instagram. You guys said yeah. So now I run the Instagram.
You've been doing a great job on Instagram. I just want to say, only a couple of months it's been up, and you've already got 500 followers. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying my best, posting every day and everything. And then I made the logo that we use right now too. I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, dude, that's a sick logo. I made some trashy logo that everybody was too shy to tell me it looked better. They don't hurt my feelings. I don't even know that red one. Remember that one, Greg? Yeah. Greg's like, yeah.
Well, I tried saying I didn't like the red and black because that's more of a communist color.
You use red and black?
Yeah.
It wasn't actually red. It was like a sunset.
Yeah, it was like burgundy or.
Okay. Did it have a hammer and sickle too?
I thought it looked Western. I don't know. It looked kind of cool. Looked like a cowboy movie background.
He might have put something in there where if you zoom in really close.
You see a hammer and sickle in the corner or something.
So what can we do to boost the Instagram? Do you need some racy photos from the XCOM or what?
I think we're doing pretty good right now. The analytics on both the Facebook and the Instagram have just been skyrocketing. They've been doing really good, especially since this whole marijuana and attorney general ordeal. I feel like there's a lot of people who are super dissatisfied with their state government, and a lot of people are looking for new options.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of people are joining Sodak Libertarians lately. Like every day, it's like 10 more people are joining it. And usually, it's a trickle. Usually, it's like one. Now it's like 10.
Our state party's still growing, even a couple months after the election, and that's kind of odd. Where usually you get a drop off after the election, but apparently people are riled up.
Oh yeah, they definitely are. I've been trying to get some more people to register as a libertarian too, some more students and all that. So
I think here's the other thing. It's kind of maybe a little cynical of me to say this, but so because Donald Trump, because we had a Republican in office for 4 years, there were a lot of right wing, lean libertarian people that didn't like our messaging because they don't want us picking on, Donald Trump. And so
absolutely, yeah,
you can clearly see how now that it's Biden in there, a lot of those people that didn't like what we were saying before are now all aboard,
Yeah, a lot of the Donald Trump supporters and stuff, I think some of them are turning to the LP. I mean, that's all right as long as they understand what we support in our platform,
Yeah,
I heard a bunch of them were going to try to start a Patriot Party.
Yeah, well, Donald Trump doesn't even want a Patriot Party, so I don't think that's going to be very successful at all. It would be funny to watch them struggle with the same things that the Libertarian Party does, nationwide.
Yeah. Have fun getting ballot access, y'all.
Yeah. Even if you're rich, it's not easy because I think if I'm pulling these numbers out of thin air, but if I remember right, like Kanye West spent like $50 million and he only got ballot access in like a dozen states.
Yeah, I mean, well, his messaging and everything kind of sucked too.
So. Well, no, but I just mean that even if you have all the resources behind you, and you are willing to spend $100 million, that doesn't guarantee. Like the ballot access laws in the United States are out of whack, and unless you have a good, dedicated group of people on the ground that are gonna, work for you.
Yeah.
Hard.
I mean, I think the Libertarian Party is really the only way we're going to be able to end the two-party system right now, because we already have ballot access in so many places,
Yeah, I think all 50 states, I think maybe New York might have lost their ballot access.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Actually, I think there was quite a few. It was like Iowa, Ohio.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all right. We're doing pretty good as a state party, though. So
yeah, we're putting them to shame. Why did you want to run for office?
I mean, I want to run for office just so I can prove that just normal people can run for office, and to kind of be a voice for younger people in office too. In Pierre, I think that's really important. There's a lot of people. I mean, in Pierre, it's just, I went there and I talked to the legislators not that long ago. Like the vast majority of them are just like old white dudes who have just been in office forever, or like, I mean, I think there's a two-term limit or whatever, but like, yeah, they've been involved in politics in South Dakota for a long time. And I feel like they're really disconnected with the people of South Dakota, and I just think it's really unfair. So, I mean, I'm running kind of just to go in there and represent the people, try and target popular issues among people that can also relate to the Libertarian Party platform, so we can try and be as successful as possible.
Yeah, there's a 2-term limit, but what they end up doing is they'll run for 2 terms in the House, then they'll go to Senate, 2 terms in the Senate, and then they can go back to 2 more terms in the House. So they're basically just in there forever, like.
It's ridiculous.
What are your top issues?
My top issues. All right, I got a list right here. So my number one issue that's most important to me is ending the divide in America, because I feel like there's a very strong divide right now. Like we have the Democrats and the Republicans, and they're really becoming radicalized, because I feel like they keep on trying to spite one another instead of actually trying to help America and try and, I don't know, make the country more better off,
Yeah.
And that goes to my second issue, which would be ending the two-party system. I think the only way for us to kind of push forward as a country would be to end the two-party system, first of all, and to do that, I think we should start on smaller state level, campaigns, and we should really focus on issues that people can connect with. And I think in South Dakota, especially, there's a lot of potential for it. I mean, we had the highest percentage for Jorgensen in the entire country.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we've been really pretty good as a state party. And I think as long as we keep going and we focus more on just the local campaigns, I think we can be pretty successful going into the future, especially with all this, the marijuana situation and everything right now. And after that, school choice. I think it's really important for parents and kids to be able to have more of a choice in their schooling. I'm against the federal Department of Education, and there's not much you can do about that on a state level. So, you know, but I was in school not that long ago. You know, I'm a young guy, and
How old are
so
you?
like I turned 20 in like 2 weeks. So
Holy.
yeah. How old did you think I was?
I think you look like 25, 26.
I got someone, I asked someone earlier this week, they said 28, and I was like, oh man, almost 30. And I was like,
No wonder we never see you at any of our meetups, because we always have them at the bar.
yeah.
Well, that's great though, to get more young people involved, you know.
Yeah, I've been really trying to target younger people, you know, and students, college libertarians and all that. And the thing is, it really connects with younger people, the Libertarian Party platform. A lot of them are just completely fed up with the two-party system, and they want to see the LP grow, you know.
They don't know any better, because the media keeps them blind, because the media
Yeah,
refuses to acknowledge us as a party, you know.
I mean, that's why I've been reaching out to students, you know, on different platforms like Instagram. It's mainly used by younger people. So like, you know, that's really a good way to reach out to the younger people and, you know, grow the party in that regard. But then my next issue would be ranked choice voting. There was already like an effort to do that in South Dakota not that long ago. And that would be one thing I'd really like to get going in South Dakota, you know, to, I guess, help end the two-party system on my second point. Because
I think it's put together by Drawn Together South Dakota.
Yeah. Those guys are also focusing on like gerrymandering and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a big gerrymandering issue in South Dakota where I think it's 60% Republican and we're 40% Democrat, and we're like, what, 1% Libertarian. But our Congress is 85% Republican and 15% Democrat and 0% Libertarian. So
if you look at the lines in Sioux Falls especially, you can just see how they're constructed, just like all weird. It's like
So they definitely drew that up to favor Republicans strongly in our state, and it's pretty much turned us into China, where we have a one-party rule over everything, and it's really annoying.
Yeah, it's dumb. We got to end it. And another issue that's really important to me would be cannabis legalization. Obviously, I've been really hitting that hard lately because that connects with just about everyone. And I mean, especially on the medical aspect, I spoke to someone in Pierre. It was a lady who was there to try and speak with the legislators. And her son actually, he passed away last year because he kept on getting seizure medication. They kept increasing the dosage. And eventually he ended up passing away from a seizure. And she felt like medical marijuana could have really helped him and helped prevent his death. And, the thing is, I actually I met that kid before, I hung out with him a few times. And it's also like very personal to me because there's people my age, people that I know who have been prosecuted for marijuana, and I think it's just completely unfair to them because they're young and what they're smoking weed, and then their lives are completely ruined. It's completely ridiculous. It's a victimless crime. They don't deserve that. It's stupid. And after that would be the gerrymandering protection. I like that group that you mentioned earlier. I like that they're trying to make the districts drawn by the citizens rather than the legislator drawing their own districts, around for when deciding who votes for them. It's really unfair to the people, I feel like.
Yeah, they're promoting, I think it's a 9-person panel, and they want 3 people from every party on the panel. So,
yeah, there better be libertarians.
Yeah, that's what I was I hope they mean libertarians when they mean all 3 parties.
I don't
know
so,
if they're.
but
It's like if they're just gonna have 3 Republicans, 3 Democrats, and 3 Independents, I'd be kind of pissed.
Yeah,
I've at least had 1 seat be libertarian. Give me a break.
Yeah, at least 1.
Sometimes they'll throw somebody in and call them a libertarian, because I remember there was a couple years ago, I can't remember, it was some summer special study. They do these study sessions over the summer for the legislature, and she got appointed, or there was this lady, she was a teacher at Augustana, and she got appointed to this panel or whatever that was going to study something anyway and make recommendations to the legislature. Anyway, I've never heard of her. She had nothing to do with the party, and so for them to say that she was a libertarian, I don't know.
Yeah, that
Imposter.
Oh man.
So let's get some actual libertarians on the on the board, not just linos, libertarian.
Linos.
We got Daryl sending us some links to districts here, but I don't know if Greg, maybe we can find them or something. I don't see them on our video.
Oh, if you wanted to look up the
we could probably post
district,
so we can show them how gerrymandered we are.
Yeah, especially around Sioux Falls.
Yeah, Sioux Falls, basically, like all these rural districts will clip Sioux Falls a little bit, which basically makes the district Republican, and then like scoops up all the Democrats in Sioux Falls and like forces them into a heavily Republican district.
Yeah,
that doesn't really represent them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you were touching on cannabis earlier, and we've talked about it to death on this show because it's a hot topic, obviously. But so the legislature is trying to delay the implementation of the medical aspect, and like you said, I mean, from a medical aspect, a lot of people are depending on this, and I think it's just a slap in the face that the legislature's deciding that no, you should just be criminals for another year and a half. Just impatiently wait a little bit longer.
It just shows that how out of touch they are and how they just don't understand it. That lives are literally on the line sometimes when it comes to medical marijuana.
Well, they can't completely ignore us because 70% of the public voted for it. So they can't publicly say, I'm not going to do this. They have no choice but to do it. But they're going to drag their feet. They're going to change the laws. They're going to make it restrictive. And I am a pessimist when it comes to this crap, and I have no faith that of course they're going to extend it for another year and a half. And because that's the problem, is because like I said, they have these study sessions during the summer and stuff. The legislature, if they weren't out of touch with what the people wanted, they would have been having study sessions for the last couple of years. They wouldn't have took a voter initiative to fucking, to get it done. Like, they would have been working on this already instead of saying, well, we need 2 more years,
Yeah, what pisses me off is like when I was petitioning, all those people were worried about, well, what does it matter if we sign this anyways? Because the South Dakota government's just going to, I don't know, butcher it and not make it happen. And I'd always be like, well, no, this is a constitutional amendment. So they'd actually have to petition themselves to make it illegal again if the amendment passes. So like once this passes, you don't have to worry about anything. And then apparently that's not true because somehow it's unconstitutional. And we've broken down why it's wholly not unconstitutional a couple episodes already.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I feel bad that we let all those people down when we were petitioning, and I didn't had no idea that how this could be overruled by one judge in Hughes County. It's kind of annoying.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Dakota Rustler says 70% of the public required a lot of Republican votes for yes. Yeah, so I'm hoping that all these incumbent Republicans who are, just pushing all Kristi Noem's stuff to delay it, won't stand up for their constituents. I hope they get removed from office.
Well, we met some people over the summer. Remember, I won't mention any names or nothing, but we met some people over the summer at a fundraiser that our friend was having, and it's hard to believe that in 2020 that these people still exist in the world, but there are still a lot of these, we'll call it out, West River Republicans that think that you're a criminal who deserves to be in jail because you smoke pot. And their biggest argument is always stupid. It's like, oh, the smell. It's like, oh, because something smells bad, we should throw people in prison? Because John Morrell and freaking Sioux Falls, should be under investigation. Or they always mention these non-existent problems in Colorado. They're always saying,
yeah,
look what happened in Colorado. Look what happened. It's like, well, what happened?
Yeah, like they mentioned child consumption or something went up. I don't think it did. I don't think it.
Studies showing that it didn't.
Yeah.
Because honestly, a lot of kids, they do stuff because it's illegal or whatever. If it was normal, they'd be like, nah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the points that the legislators actually brought up to me when I went to Pierre, they were mentioning like Colorado and all the problems that came up, since they legalized it. And like, I was just sitting there listening. I didn't say anything back because I knew I wasn't going to change his mind. I was just trying to understand his perspective, I don't know. It's ridiculous though.
It's hard. I can't remember. There's a guy that had a quote about it. But anyway, it's hard for a person who actually consumes cannabis recreationally, whatever, to listen to it and not get angry about it, because you understand that these people are basically saying to you that you deserve to be in jail. I mean, they can use whatever words they want, but unless we're talking about decriminalizing that, you're saying to me that and a lot of them, it's like they don't really know that you use. So it's like, I mean, maybe you should just be like, hey, so you're saying I should go to jail, right? I mean, because that's it. I don't know. Cannabis is one of those things where it's like I have a hard time working across the aisle with anybody who still believes that we should cage people for smoking a harmless plant.
For sure, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I was thinking about this the other day. Real quick, I'll quit ranting about it. But if you ever want a reason to not trust the government at all, look at the way that they schedule cannabis. It is considered a Schedule I drug, which means that it has no medicinal value. I think it's heroin and cocaine are Schedule II because they say that they have medicinal value. We know that is a lie. Everyone knows that is a lie. Everyone knows that marijuana has medicinal value. It's a fact, but yet the government has not changed that. It's still a Schedule I, and it's like if you just, like I said, if you want one reason to know not to trust the government, that's it. Because even when they're presented with evidence to the contrary, they're not changing.
There's several reasons not to trust the government.
Dakota Rustler says opioid use went down in Colorado, but let's conveniently ignore that fact. GOP equals shaking my head. Yeah. I remember when I was petitioning, I asked a cop about like the morality of arresting people for victimless crime. And he goes, well, that's the law, and I got to do my job and follow the law. And then he kept ranting for a little bit. And then after a while, he goes, And you know what? Out of all my friends that I went to school with, the only ones that were successful were the ones that didn't smoke weed. And then
I hear that a lot too.
It's like,
Stuff
dude,
like
if you are just abiding by the law to a T, then why would your friends admit to you that they smoke weed? Because they know you're going to arrest them. You're a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you just said makes no sense. And then another police officer said that, well, if we legalize weed, what are we going to do with all these drug dogs? They cost $14,000 to train these drug dogs, and it's just going to be a waste of money. It's like, man. That being said, though, I did have there's several police officers that did sign the petition because they're sick of dealing with this crap.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like a universal thing, but yeah, those are my stories from the petition trails.
Yeah, I hate that excuse that the whole I don't make the laws, I just enforce them, because then you got like that asshole Sheriff Tom or whatever out there who's doing the exact opposite. You're trying to actually infect the law or change the law.
You're the one suing the voters of the state for legalizing weed.
So I always thought it was a little bit of a conflict of interest too. Whenever like police officers are testifying in front of like a committee to like change the laws and shit, because usually, I mean, what they're asking for is the opposite of personal freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what pissed me off. Like we voted 70% in favor of medical weed, and that's not being expedited. That's like overwhelmingly majority.
Mm-hmm.
That's over 2/3.
Yeah,
but
here
Christy Noll wants something that gets expedited. Like she wants to delay this for a year. That's been expedited. Everything she's won has been expedited.
Mm-hmm.
The legislature should have. I mean, I know Noam already said she would have vetoed it anyways, but they should have. If you want to delay medical cannabis and you want to see how this recreational is going to play out in the court system, then the responsible thing for the legislature to do would have been to decriminalize cannabis. Because there's no reason to keep fining and throwing people in jail for something that's going to change in a year and a half. You've already said the law is going to change in a year and a half. You're just delaying it this year and a half. So there's no reason to enforce that law right now.
Yeah,
I really hope they don't just turn around and try and get rid of it next year, because maybe the reason that they're delaying it right now is just because people are so fired up about it, instead of just outright getting rid of medical as well, because I don't, some of the legislators I talked to in Pierre, they were in favor for medical marijuana, but not all of them, and I don't know how, like what the consensus is exactly, but I really hope that they at least pull through with medical marijuana. I think it's ridiculous that it's being delayed, though. It's completely unfair.
Yeah, West Virginia passed medical marijuana 4 years ago, and like every year they delay it. So that's what I'm thinking they're going to try to do in South Dakota. So next year they're going to delay it another year.
Probably.
Year after that, they're going to be like, oh, we need to form a committee to look at some studies to figure out how to implement this. So we're going to need another 2 years. Dakota Wrestler says, a 2019 study published in the prestigious Journal of the American Medical Association of Pediatrics found there was no evidence that the legalization of medical marijuana encourages marijuana use among youth. Yeah.
I believe it now.
None of that stuff matters, though. Only thing that matters is Christy Noam's rule over all of us.
Christy Noam with an iron fist. That's all that matters.
So, Corgan, you're the local coordinator for Students for Liberty. Do you want to tell us what that organization is all about?
It's basically just like a student organization, and it's not officially affiliated with the Libertarian Party or anything. It's just for advocating for liberty, and just like libertarian policies. It's like a global organization. There's chapters all over the world, and I'm not tied to any particular college, so I can recruit people from different colleges and stuff. And we're given like a little bit of money for like to make like trips or like to have meetings or anything. Right now, I haven't been able to have any in-person meetings or anything with them because, you know, freaking COVID, a lot of them are, the colleges are really cracking down hard on that stuff. So, you know, it's pretty difficult for me to do much besides things that are online right now. But I mean, basically through that, I've been pointing students kind of towards the Libertarian Party, you know, because I mean, I can't officially like say that SFL is for the Libertarian Party or anything, but I've kind of just been pushing them in the direction of it, you know, try and recruit more people for the movement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, if they're for liberty, I mean, we're for liberty. We're all on the same team for liberty. That, you know, that's why I like Americans for Prosperity. They pick topics for liberty. I wish they'd be pick more like topics for liberty than they do, but you know, they're picking up civil asset forfeiture and stuff like that, and the education choice stuff where you don't have to trying to like make the school less, be just 100% public schooling. I think that's important. So it'd
be good to have some student organizations around here because I found out in the last couple campaign cycles that you can't just call up and get a speaking event at a college. You have to be invited by a student organization. Because I would send out the last couple of years we've had, or couple cycles, you know, we've had U.S. House candidates, and so I was trying to get like some speaking events booked at like some colleges and universities around here, and I would email like the head of the political science department or whatever, you know. But you can't, like, they can't invite you. You have to be invited by a student organization.
Yeah, so, we definitely. I mean, right now, like the college Democrats and the college Republicans and all that, they're very big, actually. You know, they're doing a lot, but it's hard to find organizations that are particularly for the Libertarian Party, you know. And I mean, the thing is from SFL is that it's not actually, since it's not like affiliated with a particular college, I don't think that, you know, that we could actually technically invite people to certain colleges, you know. Like, I think the only real organization would be Young Americans for Liberty, but they're not really just libertarian. You know, there's a lot of Republicans in that too. So,
yeah, they try to commandeer the liberty movement, but
yeah,
Republicans are not liberty oriented enough, in my opinion. So Corgan, you're running for the chair of Minnehaha County. What are your plans with that position, and how do you plan to grow the party there?
Really what I'd like to do first is to kind of expand the social media for the Minnehaha County Party. I just created an Instagram for it probably about a week ago, and I really want to make it look really professional, this one. I want to make the Minnehaha County just like professional and really well done, and I want to get a really nice website for it. And I have a guy, I have like a little team that I have for my campaign. And it's got some of my friends on it. It's got some professionals on it. Like one of my friends, he's actually around my age, but he owns a marketing company and he creates websites, and he's doing really good for himself with that. And he's designing my campaign website right now. And I'd like to have him do that for the Minnehaha County Party as well.
Nice.
You know, and try and get that all done up and really kind of focus on popular issues in Minnehaha County, especially, you know, like one of the things that we're planning on doing now is doing some market research, actually some anonymous polling in my area, so we can get an idea of what people like, what issues are important to them, you know, so we can kind of target those through the LP platform. You know?
Well, yeah, dude, that sounds like an awesome plan. We're trying to have a Minnehaha County Party convention the same day as our state convention, since it's in Minnehaha County as well. So that'd be super easy and convenient to do that there. And yeah, I don't know if we have any county affiliates currently operational.
Yeah,
So if
and
we
it's
have
not.
Minnehaha, we'll actually have one finally and break the ice on getting those county affiliates up and going.
I think it's really important to, try and interact on a county level as well. I mean, the state party, it's got people from all over the state. And I don't know, like there's actually like a surprising amount of people that just aren't just from Sioux Falls and, the LPSD, So
Yeah.
Sioux Falls is important because Sioux Falls is literally a quarter of the population of South Dakota.
Yeah.
It's like 200,000 people. There's only like 800 or, a little over 800,000 in South Dakota.
There's a lot of potential in Sioux Falls too, I feel like, because I mean there's a lot less of those hardline Republicans, like there's a lot of people who are more willing to be, like vote for the Libertarian Party, like a third option,
Yes, I like Sioux Falls legislative districts a lot more than my own, which is just basically a deep red one. But Sioux Falls, it's like more 50-50.
Yeah.
Fuck, what else was I gonna say? I forgot. Damn it. But you have any more questions for Corgan, Greg?
Oh, I was trying to think. Can I draw on a blank? Anything you wanna?
Yeah, anything you want to plug?
Oh yeah, my Instagram, it's just at Corgan for SD, and it's the same thing with my Facebook. Soon my website will be up. It'll be corganforsd.com. And I'm trying to really build up a following on social media. I think that's really important and making like everything look really good. I think that's really important for the LP as a party to look as good and as professional as possible, because a lot of people are scared away from like, events that have happened in the past that make, the LP look kind of unprofessional,
We know.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
You got a campaign committee up and running yet, or are you waiting on
that's just my friends and everything that I've like, my marketing.
Well, I'm just saying, as far as like, are you able to collect donations then? You got your campaign.
Right now I'm it's going to be within the next week that I'm going to officially be able to accept donations. I'm going to try and get like maybe through my website or something. I'm trying to get like a separate, thing so I can, account for all the transactions and everything more easily.
Well, if anything, the easiest is just create a quick PayPal account or something,
Oh yeah, I suppose, huh? Yeah, I was just going to create a whole new bank account for it,
But yeah, there's a lot of them out there that'll specific programs that'll integrate with your website and stuff. I don't know a whole lot. I've ran twice myself, but I didn't collect donations, honestly. My district's kind of a tough one because there's a lot of districts out there where, depending on the race you're running, you might be running in a two-way race, head to head with somebody, but
I think mine's going to be crowded.
Yeah,
but
mine's
I think
crowded.
I think that'll be a good thing, though, to be honest. Because
I think if you can start collecting donations a year ahead of time, I mean, you might be able to build yourself quite a little chest where you're able to really do some stuff.
That's that's
who I'd hit up Adam Jewell, because he had a website with a cool donation integration, and I'm sure he just lay it all down how he did that.
Oh yeah.
But thanks for coming on, Corgan. We appreciate it. Check out Corgan's Facebook page, Corgan for South Dakota. We got one more comment. Well, let's read this while Corgan's on still. It's best to have a separate bank account. Eliminate conflict of interest with personal expenses. Yeah, Daryl's our treasurer. So, yeah, he was a good person to ask for tips on all that stuff, too.
Or just be like a normal politician and just spend that money however you want. Noam's spending campaign contributions, giving speeches in Texas, for Christ's sakes. So apparently you can do... if you want to go to Cancun next summer and give a speech down there...
Maybe if I was a Republican.
Just giving speeches all over the country and running for a local office.
But you coming to the convention then on March 20th?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
All right, so anybody listening wants to meet Corgan and check him out, we'll be at the convention. I'll be at the convention. Greg will be at the convention. Mm-hmm. We're all East River homies, so East River takeover. All right, man. Have a good night. I'll see you in our communications chat.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Light Chaos says, I'd love to meet him. Come to our convention. We need more people to show up. We want this to be the biggest convention we've ever had so we can brag about how awesome Sioux Falls is. But, okay, so Ravnsborg, not charged with anything. We kind of briefly touched on the subject.
Yeah, we had a live reaction the other day.
We had a live reaction, if you saw, but we didn't really get to talk during the video much because we didn't want to interrupt what we were hearing. But I've watched that video like 5 times now. I've kind of like dissected a couple things that I think, I don't know, worth mentioning or worth discussing. Maybe some questions the reporters could have asked that they didn't. Yeah, I'll start with, let's just start with whether Ravnsborg had special treatment or not. And I'll play a little section of the video because he was asked that. And then I've got a couple articles of people that were in the same position Ravnsborg was in, and they were charged right away. So we'll see if he was given special treatment. Let me find my notes here and my timestamp for this. Okay, 29 minutes exactly. Okay, so here we get this. Let me share my screen here. And then there's a 29, so do like a little bit before.
Go ahead on the phone.
Ariel with the Journal.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Yes. So my two-part question. One is, how is he going to be? Is there an arrest warrant? Does he have plans to turn himself in? And part 2 is if this was a random person, would they have been arrested and charged first and then investigated after, or would it have been like this too, where they're living out in the community to do this extremely thorough investigation?
With respect to the first question, this has been charged out by complaint. It is highly likely that a special judge will be appointed and there will be an appropriate summons to court at that point in time. As to part 2 of your question.
So right there, they asked her, is he going to get any special treatment? And they said that they're going to appoint a special judge. She said, no, he's not going to get special treatment, but we're going to appoint a special judge for him.
Whether this would have been, somebody else would have been treated differently, the answer is no. Mr. Ravnsborg was treated no different than any other person would have been treated under these circumstances.
All right, well, let's see if that's true. Let's see if that's true. Let's look up this article from Sioux Falls. Mariah Brooke Hagan charged in fatal Sioux Falls accident. Okay. Sounds kind of similar to Ravnsborg. Police say suspect ran a red light at the intersection of 6th Street and Cliff Avenue. Okay, so that's like Ravnsborg, not driving in the lane, driving on the shoulder of the road and killed somebody. That's basically you're made of traffic violation and caused somebody's death. A woman was tragically killed on Thursday morning as a result of a crash in Sioux Falls. This happened July 9th, 2020, which is just last year. Police have identified a suspect, 29-year-old Mariah Brooke Hagan. Authorities said the incident happened around 5 a.m. when the driver of a Ford Freestar was making a right turn from 6th Street onto Cliff Avenue. At that moment, a 2005 Chrysler Town and Country, driven by Hagen, allegedly ran a red light and struck the Ford. You can clearly see that the Ford was going on a green light, and you saw the Chrysler traveling at a very high rate of speed and struck the car, police spokesman Sam Clemens said. The 53-year-old female driver of the Ford sadly died at the scene. Okay, so that's like Ravnsborg ran over Joseph Beaver, and Beaver died at the scene as well. The suspect faces charges of manslaughter in the 2nd degree and reckless driving. Okay, so let's go back and see what they said about Ravnsborg's reckless driving.
No, his was careless driving. They made sure to charge him with careless driving.
Yeah.
On purpose, because then they spent the whole time talking about how careless driving doesn't meet the definition of manslaughter. It's like, that's because you did that on purpose. He was speeding. He was distracted driving. You could have easily, and he was out of the lane of, he was across the line and he wasn't even in his lane. So you could easily say that's reckless driving.
Yeah. They definitely, let's see what, let's play like a clip here of what they said Ravnsborg did.
Ravnsborg did, like the Britney video. Ravnsborg did nothing wrong. Leave him alone.
There's a very specific articulation of what reckless means within the provisions of that manslaughter statute. The state must import a conscious and unjustifiable disregard of a substantial risk that the offender's conduct may cause a certain result or may be of a certain nature.
General butt naked.
Okay, so right there, basically that definition she just gave is recklessness. If like you're not driving in your lane, is that not reckless driving? Like, you know that you're gonna hit somebody. You're eventually gonna cause a crime. General Butt Naked is back. He says, "Greetings from Germany, guys. What's up, man?" But let's continue on.
A person is reckless with respect to circumstances when he consciously and unjustifiably disregards a substantial risk.
Okay, so we know Ravnsborg was charged with texting while driving or whatever, but they say that he was texting and driving before the accident. So we know that he drives without regard to people's safety because he's driving, texting and driving. We know that, and I would even argue, I'm going to bring up, I have a good point later I'm going to bring up where I think he might actually have been texting and driving.
Our high courts have explained that for someone's conduct to be deemed reckless, it's more than just a mere ordinary negligence standard.
Okay, so that article I just read, this lady, she wasn't drunk, on drugs, or anything. She just ran a red light by mistake, and she ended up killing somebody, and she was charged with manslaughter.
Cheers, General.
So why? So why is Ravnsborg not? Why was he not charged with manslaughter right away, like that one lady was on Sioux Falls? Why did it take 5 months to charge him with careless driving? That is not treating him the same way. He's definitely not being. General Butt Naked says, "Cheers, buddy." So that's definitely not being treated the same. Definitely not.
Operation of a motor vehicle in violation of a law is not in and of itself sufficient to constitute the recklessness required for that manslaughter statute.
Okay, so again, a traffic violation, running in a red light. I've got another article. I'm going to bring up the other article here too right now. I'm going to come back to this one. Because here's another instance of somebody committing a traffic violation and being charged with manslaughter for getting somebody killed with that traffic violation. Here is one from I-90. This happened at I-90 near Alexandria. Texas man faces manslaughter charge in tractor van crash on I-90 near Alexandria. A Texas man is facing a felony manslaughter charge that could mean 10-year prison sentence after a trailer he was pulling with a big farm tractor on Interstate 90 on Friday was rear-ended by a minivan, killing the van driver. Jason Anthony Ingram, 31, of Kempner, Texas, was driving a Case Versatile 305 tractor west of I-90, just east of Alexandria, South Dakota, a town that is 60 miles west of Sioux Falls. So this was out in the middle of nowhere, just like Ravnsborg's case. Just before noon on Friday, September 6th, the westbound 2001 Dodge Caravan rear-ended the hose trailer, according to the highway patrol trooper who responded to the scene and arrested Ingram. So he was arrested right there, and they arrested the guy driving the tractor because he, as it says down here, in most cases of rear-end crashes, the vehicle that rear-ends the other is at fault. But in this case, Ingram should not have been driving the farm tractor on the interstate. So because he was driving an interstate, making a traffic violation with his tractor, going less than 40, some lady rear-ended him, ended up dying. He was arrested right then that day, charged with manslaughter. Like, how is that any different than what Ravnsborg did? Like, Ravnsborg's recklessly driving out of his lane of traffic. This guy was on the interstate. I know it was in the middle of nowhere, so that's probably what he thought, you know? It's in the middle of nowhere. He probably didn't have far to go. But wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, you should not be driving a tractor on the interstate. But yeah, I mean, your point's the same. I mean, the guy was just committing a misdemeanor crime or whatever.
Yeah, why weren't these other two people given careless driving? Like, they were arrested right away. Oh my god, I don't know how many times I need to say it. Ravnsborg should have been arrested.
Even if a person is killed as a result thereof.
Even if a person is killed. She's clarified. Those other two people should not have been charged with reckless driving.
There's likely a very visceral reaction to traffic accidents that result in fatalities. Prosecutors' jobs, however, are to look at the facts, look at the evidence, apply the laws and the standards that they're provided. And that's exactly what's been done in this case.
No, it's not. You're a liar.
Clarified.
This time, I'm going to defer over to Mr. Moore.
Okay. So, I got one more article, too. One more. Might as well share it since I found it. I think everybody's heard of this case. This was the first case that came to my mind when I heard about the Ravnsborg thing. Let me find it here. This happened in Sioux Falls. Everybody remembers this case, I think. This is the case that caused the texting and driving to be outlawed in South Dakota. A man accused of fatally injuring a motorcyclist while he was speeding and texting is facing manslaughter charges. And I just want to point out, like, it doesn't matter what he was doing. The fact is that he was distracted while driving, just like Ravnsborg was distracted while driving. So it was regardless if Ravnsborg was texting or not, the investigators found he was distracted and driving. So he should be in the same predicament as this individual. This individual is facing manslaughter charges in a case that could fuel efforts to ban texting while driving in South Dakota's largest city. And that actually did end up passing. I think that's a statewide thing too. Authorities say 21-year-old Brent O'Neill was driving 60 miles an hour in a 30 per mile an hour zone, was texting on a cell phone and caused a chain of accidents in central Sioux Falls, July 25th. This was in 2012. O'Neill's car hit 3 vehicles and Philip Sorensen's motorcycle before crashing into a light pole. 33-year-old Sorensen died later in a Sioux Falls hospital. So I know Ravnsborg was going 67 and a 65, and it wasn't speeding quite to the extent this individual was, but I think it applies still. He was speeding. Both were speeding.
Here, I got a good article we could kind of go through real quick. If you
Yeah.
want to share my screen.
Yep. Click the share your screen button, and then I can click on it.
So, yeah, Ravnsborg, although he didn't get criminal charges or the good criminal charges, against him. But, wait, hold on. Jeez. Things not that complicated. Come on.
In the meantime, Daryl says, according to them, reckless is personally being in the wrong lane. Careless is not purposely doing so. Fine line between the two. Daryl also says there are so many contradictions in this press conference. Yeah, I agree too. I agree. There's a lot of contradictions. Libertarian Party of South Dakota is about to put a press release out on the contradictions. And we're going to call for the resignation also of Attorney General Ravnsborg. But some of the contradictions that we're going to mention in this press release were that they basically said that Ravnsborg and Sheriff Volek both walked by the body of Joseph Beaver and then somehow did not see that body. Like, I think that's completely impossible.
All right, I find the technology challenge.
All right, here, let's go to Greg's article, then I'll finish with what I was talking about.
Well, so this was just an update about how the widow of the man killed by the Attorney General plans to sue in civil court. Lawyers for the victim's family, Jenny Beaver, said in a statement... Beaver.
Yeah.
Said in a statement that they would be filing a lawsuit against Ravnsborg's partly in hopes of getting answers to lingering questions about the crash. Because one thing that was, when we listened to it on Thursday, that was kind of brought to our attention right away was they kept saying basically that they didn't know what he was doing at the time of the crash. They didn't know why he had veered over onto the shoulder. And after 5 months of an investigation, it's like you just admitted that you never even interviewed the guy. Yeah. What do you mean you don't know?
They did say that too. They said that they did not have any contact or talk to Ravnsborg at all. That was just all the investigative team.
Yeah, here's a pretty sad part. It says the Attorney General said through a spokesman Thursday that he doesn't plan to resign and looks forward to his day in court. It's like, so what does he think? He's going to fight it? He's going to fight those charges? What a POS, you know?
Yeah, dude, he thinks he's innocent. He said earlier, like last month, that he doesn't believe he committed any crimes. He said after that they were only charging him with careless driving. He said that that just proved that the justice system's working in South Dakota, and that innocent until proven guilty is still held up by the court of laws. And it's like, man, how is there not a mob just with pitchforks outside this guy's place of work and his house every day? Like, I don't understand.
Like, this is pretty telling too in this article. It says, though prosecutors said he was not using his phone at the time of the crash, he had been using it while driving about 1 minute before. Well,
what?
Yeah, 1 minute before 30. I mean, what is that? Like, you guys are literally splitting hairs to avoid prosecuting him.
Yeah, dude, this is ridiculous.
Because you know damn well if you got in an accident, and they could prove that you were on your phone 1 minute before the accident, you most certainly would be charged with a crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Speaking of that, I've got one point I want to bring up regarding what we were just talking about. It comes down, like when I first listened to this, when we were listening to it live, I didn't quite catch it because they're literally talking about seconds of time difference. So I didn't really think twice about it. But when I listened to it for like the third or fourth time, I kind of caught on to what they were saying a little bit, and I was kind of like, wait a minute, something's not right here. So let's listen to this real quick, and then I'll say what I want to say.
Ravensburg was west of Highmore and struck Mr. Beaver. Approximately 15 seconds later, at 22:23:52, Ravensburg vehicle was stopped. 14 seconds after that, at 10:24:06, Ravensburg's phone was unlocked. And 16 seconds after it was unlocked, at 10:24:22, the 911 call was made.
Okay, so we're talking about seconds of time here. So at first he says, like, I don't know how they know exactly when the accident happened.
That's
I want to find that out when they actually go to court and all this evidence finally starts coming out, because they said that they weren't going to go into the details of the evidence at that press release. So they're going to make us wait for the court for that. So anyhow, regardless of how they found out, I think it's suspicious and how they know exactly what time Ravnsborg hit the guy. But he can tell this for certain. I know you can find this out when you like hack into people's phones. Like he said there's a 16-second difference between when he unlocked his phone and from when he called 911. Like that they know for a fact. So like 16 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, but like when you think of, like, let's count it out. Okay, so I just hit somebody. I'm like, oh my God, or I hit something, I got to call the police to come and check out whatever the hell I hit. So here we go. I'm going to unlock my phone. Doot, 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 doot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, I just pressed 911. Like, are you kidding me? 16 seconds? You know what I think? I think he was going to text again, like you just said. He was texting 1 minute before that. I think he was unlocking his phone to text, and immediately after unlocking it, he must have hit something. He pulled over, seconds are counting by, and then he dials 911. So I'm thinking that's proof that he was texting and driving, or unlocking his phone to text and drive.
I would like to see, and I don't know if it'll come out in court because these are minor misdemeanor charges, and it's not like they need to testify, or unless he's really fighting it, it's really not going to be long, drawn out court case. But I would like to know exactly how exactly when he hit that guy.
Yeah,
because you're saying that he wasn't on the phone for a certain number of seconds. So there's no way that he was on his phone at the time he hit the guy. But I want to know how it is that you think the exact moment that he hit that guy.
Yeah.
1 minute, 1 or 2 minute leeway, or hell, even 5 minute, 10-minute leeway. Like, how exactly do you know when he hit that guy?
Yeah, that's an important
Just based
point.
on when he stopped. I mean, I could see that being a logical answer if they have that data from the box underneath the. Well, yeah, but Daryl says location tracking on the phone. But my point is, how would your phone know that you just hit somebody?
Yeah.
My point is, when did that accident? What time did he hit that person? He could have hit that person and then, like I said, he could have been on his phone, hit that person, shut his phone off, waited 5-10 minutes. Well, obviously not, because he only had a minute between him when he was on his phone, and that's my point. It's like,
and here's another point. Like, if he's on his phone a minute, like, when does his lock activate? Can you even set your lock to activate like less than a minute after you're done texting? Like, that's a short ass window, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it does.
Well, when I'm texting and driving, what I do. Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to, like I said, I want to know how it is. If he was literally on his phone within a minute, I want to know how you have pinpointed the time of that accident within that minute.
Mm-hmm. Daryl says, "How do we know he didn't drop his phone and bend over to pick it up?" That's another thing I was thinking that might have happened. That would have caused one to veer off the road. We don't know, because I guess apparently Ravnsborg didn't tell investigators what he did. Like, did they not ask him? Is he refusing to speak to investigators? And why was that lady charged with manslaughter who just ran a red light? She wasn't texting and ran a red light. She just made a mistake, ran a red light, and accidentally killed somebody. She was charged with manslaughter right away. It's like, and so like, so at a certain point, you know, whether or not he was texting, it doesn't even really matter. If we're going to have an equal justice under the law, if she's being charged with manslaughter, why isn't Jason Ravnsborg? Dara Root says, phones generally don't lock in from the east end of town to the west end. It's Highmore, not Sioux Falls. General Butt Naked says she's a liar. Obviously. So, yeah, that's one point I wanted to bring up. I'll look through my notes here. I think I've got some more. Here, let's try this part of the video here. 2244. I'll do like 2240. All right. Right there.
When Ravnsborg left the lane of travel. We do not know why Ravnsborg.
Oh, here we go. Let me go a little before
by
that.
the law, as I just stated, to the facts of this case, this is what you end up with. There's no evidence indicating that Ravnsborg's travel outside the lane of travel was done in such a manner to suggest a reckless disregard for the safety of others. We do not know when Ravnsborg left the lane of travel.
So I guess driving outside your lane means that you're not disregarding others people's safety when you're not. We don't know why.
We do not know why Ravnsborg was outside the lane of travel. We do not know if Ravnsborg really.
So they don't know how or why he was outside the lane of travel. So how, like your point earlier, how do they know when he hit the guy?
Yeah,
like,
that's important.
Like if he was outside his lane of travel when he hit the guy. So how do you know when he hit the guy and when he was like
realized he was outside the lane of travel? We must provide evidence that would allow a trier of fact to conclude that Ravnsborg was aware of the dangerous nature of his conduct. No such evidence exists.
I've just read. Oh my gosh. Okay, so he is the Attorney General of South Dakota, which means he is like the top cop. He knows the laws of South Dakota. He knows why the laws are the laws. He knows that texting and driving is not safe, which he's been doing. He knows that when he's texting and driving, he's not in his lane. He's like swerving out of the lane. So he knows as Attorney General that his actions are not safe and that they could cause some harm to people just because of the position he's in. So to say that there's no evidence that he knew what he was doing would cause danger is complete bullcrap.
Well, what I want to know is how are you going to sit here and tell us after 5 months that you don't have answers?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't know? You should, after 5 months, you should not be standing here telling us you don't know shit.
Yeah, dude. So here I'm going to bring up another thing here. This is at 13 minutes. So this is to add on to the point where, you know, they keep saying they don't know what Ravnsborg was doing, why he was distracted, if he was even if he knew that he wasn't in the lane. Ravnsborg is not talking. So let's play this section real quick.
Accidents And the investigation done in this case by North Dakota Bureau of Investigation, the Highway Patrol, and the accident reconstructionists, they went well above and beyond what I've ever seen in an investigation before. Anything that was asked of them by the prosecution team, they did it. They did it in a timely manner. They provided us what we asked for in order for us to make a decision.
Okay, so he just said anything that they asked for, they got. Because this investigation team was so balling. They got everything they asked for out of this investigation team. So are they admitting that they didn't ask this investigation team for the interview with Ravnsborg or what Ravnsborg said, why he was distracted? They didn't ask the investigation team. Will you ask Ravnsborg if he knew he was out of the lane of traffic? Will you ask Ravnsborg why he said that something went into the middle of the road and he hit it and he didn't know what it was? Like, why would he say that if he was distracted? Like, this was not the best investigation team, and apparently you did not get everything you needed out of this investigation team. We got some.
Ravnsborg probably pled the fifth.
Daryl says location tracking on phones. Yeah, if that's the case, though, if they use his phone to track his location, how did they not know when he left the lane of traffic? Because, I don't know, my phone's smart enough to tell when I'm on the shoulder of the road or when I'm in the middle of the road. Daryl says, my phone can do an instant lock, but I wouldn't use it while driving. Access time to unlock is dangerous. Yes. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really look at my settings. I just can't fathom someone having their lock on for less than a minute. It seems that'd be annoying. You know, every time you read a text, your phone locks right away. Nikki says, these arguments are putsy at best. It's now just a very obvious cover-up, and they continue to not care. Yep, I agree. Like, I've read those 3 articles earlier, and those people all were charged with manslaughter right away. And some of them, they are all just committed traffic violations and caused somebody to be killed. So there's no reason why Ravnsborg's being treated differently than they were. Nikki says, distracted driving is distracted driving. It doesn't matter what was distracting him. Yep. That's my point too. Like, we already know he was distracted driving. So like, it doesn't really matter what he was doing to be distracted. Like, they know he was distracted. He killed somebody being distracted. You're not supposed to be drive while you're distracted.
But we don't know why he crossed that line, though.
Yeah.
We can't charge him because he didn't know.
Nikki says they obviously asked for crap to be looked over. Yeah, I think so too.
Well, I said it on whatever day we talked about it the other day, but like, this should have went to a grand jury to decide the fate, because it shouldn't have been just decided by one person. Yeah. That's literally one person just decided, well, we don't have enough to charge him. And for regular people like you and I, when the state thinks you've committed a crime, they will just take their evidence and put that before a grand jury, and then that grand jury will decide to indict you on it. So they should have done that for this.
They were asked that at this press conference. Let's see what they said in their official capacity.
Ability to use a grand jury in this case. If that was the case, can you say so? And then if it was an option, why wasn't it used?
Actually, I'll defer over to Mr. Moore. He had addressed that some in his statement.
Obviously, in South Dakota, we can charge by complaint, which means that there, in a case of a felony, there would be a preliminary hearing, or we can charge by an indictment, which is presenting a case to the grand jury, which prosecutors are under an ethical obligation to only present cases that we believe meet the law. In a case where we don't have it, we don't have the facts, we don't have the law, we can't present a case to the grand jury.
No, a grand jury decides if there's enough evidence to charge a person with a crime.
Yeah, dude.
You got to decide that. instead of a grand jury. You got to decide
Mhm.
whether there was a crime.
Yeah, dude, that's total bull. Like, we know that there's plenty of evidence to charge him with manslaughter. There's been previous cases, some as recently as 2 months before he committed his manslaughter offense. And it's like, it's excuses after excuses.
On our part to do so. And in this case, as I mentioned, it was the facts fell well short of what we needed.
No, they didn't.
To reach recklessness. So there would be no use in presenting this case to a grand jury.
I think they.
Yeah.
I think that's a Bible verse or something. Seek and ye shall find. So
yeah.
if you wanted to find evidence, you could have found it.
Oh my gosh! He even said in that it was ethical for him not to bring it to a grand jury. Like, give me a break. Give me a break. Daryl Roots says it was a poltergeist that took him over to the shoulder. Nikki says either way, he crossed the line. The one that goes between serving himself and serving the people of South Dakota, or the line on the shoulder of the road and hit a man. Either way, he crossed the line. Yeah, he's been crossing all kinds of lines from, it's just like him and Christy Nome are basically in the same line crossing compadres.
I just can't believe, like that article we just read about the family suing. I just can't believe, like, how Ravnsborg says he won't resign and he looks forward to his day in court.
Yeah.
Like, South Dakota, as far as I know, you can't actually recall these assholes.
Yeah.
So we can't just like petition to recall these people. But I mean, if he runs again for public office, look, we're gonna have a Democrat as the Attorney General. Mark my word. So, and I actually, as a libertarian, would prefer a libertarian Attorney General. But if you have to go lesser of two evils, I would have rather had that sailor than Ravnsborg, because Ravnsborg, if you're a libertarian, there's no reason that you would ever vote for a Republican Attorney General, because Republicans, they generally don't believe in criminal justice reform or anything like that, whereas the Democrats are a little bit better on those issues. And so you saw like things like Attorney General Ravnsborg last year speaking against civil asset forfeiture and things like that. And here he's refusing to defend marijuana. Again, it's like that. It's like, why? For me, I mean, as a independent or libertarian minded person, it's not always, you should vote Republican if that's what you have to vote. Hold your nose and vote Republican. There's some positions that Republicans are not better at.
Yeah, we did have an Attorney General candidate, a libertarian one in South Dakota. He got like 20%. He ran against Marty Jackley, I think, in like 2014. Was it Chad Haber, I believe his name was. Huh. But you mentioned
bring him back.
Like the victim's family earlier, and here's this section where they talk about them informing the victim's family that they're not going to press serious charges. This is going to be a slap on the wrist.
In order for us to make a decision. I did get to visit with the victim's family this morning. They obviously don't like our decision in this case. But as we all know, that victims don't make that decision. That's why there's independent review. That's why there's prosecutors that are elected by the people.
That's why there's grand juries.
Yeah.
That's our job.
That's the grand jury's job.
We owe it to not only to Joe Beaver, but to the Attorney
I'd
General.
also like to point out,
Ravnsborg.
what kind of special pandering bullshit is it when, like, this chick sitting here will, like, put her mask on for 5 minutes, and then the minute she needs to talk, she, like, takes her mask off. And this idiot, same thing. It's like he has his mask on, and he takes it off to talk. It's like, dude, at this point, you guys just leave those masks off. Like you're already close enough. You've cross-contaminated yourselves. Like you're just pandering to sit here and wear those freaking masks.
At the beginning,
This is the poor old lady signing behind her. She's like, "Fuck that."
At the beginning, Emily Sowell, I think her name is, the deputy's state's attorney that made the decision. She asked the journalist for permission if she could remove her mask to start speaking because it's difficult for her to breathe. It's like, give me a break. But yeah, let's finish.
To do an unbiased, fair review of the facts and apply it to the law.
That's what you did not
Emily
do.
put together the team that she did for input, and the decision was then finally hers. I'm going to make some comments. My comments will be strictly to.
Okay. So there was, he was just mentioning there was a team of state's attorneys, all from all over South Dakota. I think there's one for Pennington County. I know there's one for Minnehaha County. But the Minnehaha County prosecutor dropped out. And they commented on that here. So let's play the comment, and then I have something to say. I have a hunch, I guess you could say. All right, it's my shares. I have a stream. Okay.
State's Attorney Mark Vargo have generously shared their time to help review. I know there's going to be some questions about the obvious absence of Minnehaha County State's Attorney Crystal Johnson, who was originally assisting as well. When they had the transition of office with Minnehaha County State's Attorneys, the new administration needed all hands on deck, and that is an extremely busy office. I understand that. And regardless of that transition, she provided a plethora of knowledge. She shared a lot throughout the process, and I would like to sincerely thank her and all of the assisting state's attorneys for that same.
Okay, so do you think that she dropped out of this case because she thought the guy should be charged, and like everybody else is pushing that he shouldn't be charged? Because it seems weird why because she dropped out. Like, why would she drop out? I mean, I guess she came with kind of a lame excuse, in my opinion. Greg, are you there?
I'm here. I was having the wife get me a beverage.
But do you think the Minnehaha County prosecutor dropped out because she didn't agree with the charges? Nobody really followed up on that at all during the press conference.
She wouldn't have had jurisdiction anyways, so I'm not sure she could have made that call.
Yeah.
I mean, because it happened in that guy's county,
Oh, my bad. I'm back.
I lost.
Can you see me? Can you
Yeah,
see
I
me
can
now?
see you now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why my internet's being lame.
That Starlink's not working yet. Not
Nikki says, it's just so crazy that the family has to sue for justice. This is nuts. Yeah, it's bull. Unless you're Biden and it's the crime bill 94. I forgot what we're talking about. Like how it came up. Echo Chamber Podcast says, it's hysterical none of these people are socially distanced. Baldwin had me laughing there.
Well, that's the good thing. Keep coming.
Daryl Root says, if I was a singer, I'd be singing What a Load of Crap. Nikki says, it's possible she dipped because she didn't feel right defending him. That's what I think, too. I think it'd be bull crap. I thought if I was there, I'd be like, this is bull crap. You guys are trying to run one over people in South Dakota. Like, give me a break. There's one awkward moment, too, where she laughs, kind of. I thought, I was like, man, like this is not the press conference to be laughing, lady.
Yeah, I was a little at the very beginning. actually, and you have to go back if you want to listen to our live stream of reaction to the whole video he's been playing.
Yeah.
You can find it on YouTube. But anyway, so at the very beginning when we were watching that, we both audibly gasped because when she first brought up the charges, they were like distracted driving, and we were like, yeah. And then they like separated it. They completely separated the issue. They were like, well, he was distracted driving because he was texting and driving, but that was 60 seconds before he hit the guy, so there's no way.
Yeah.
It was like, man, what? So then they still charged him. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they still charged him with texting and driving, did they not? Or that's one of the 3 charges, isn't it?
They did charge him with texting and driving, but they said
It's like a contradiction in the charges. Even it's like, well, here's a charge for texting and driving, but we know you weren't texting and driving when you killed this guy 60 seconds later.
Yeah, dude.
It's kind of ridiculous. When
took 16 seconds to unlock your phone and dial 911. Like, were you looking up the number you couldn't remember, or like 3-digit numbers too much for you to take 16 seconds? That doesn't make any sense.
16 seconds. He called somebody. He called the government hotline and said, "I need a cleaner."
Yeah.
Send in the cleaner. And then the guy came and he gave him a car to drive home in.
Right.
The impact.
If I can follow up with that, I think you said he was going 67 miles per hour at the time of impact. Was that the number?
Yes, and it was in a 65 mile per hour zone.
So why not a speeding charge?
Yeah, I think there's a reasonable degree of latitude that all prosecutors exercise when it comes to a 65 mile per hour zone. And I don't know very many folks that haven't gone 66 or 67 miles per hour in a 65 mile per hour zone.
So let me ask you. Let me ask real quick too. And I'm no forensic expert, and they had 5 months to investigate. But is it possible, like with polling, you have a plus or a minus a couple miles per hour, to where, let's say the official narrative is he was going 67. Mm-hmm. However, the way the actual math and science works, is there a plus or minus? Like, could he in fact have actually been going 70 miles an hour?
Yeah.
And you're just saying that it was 67,
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, and it's kind of like, well, I don't know anybody who hasn't gone 66 or 67, so we prosecutors use our discretion, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, well, he killed somebody. He killed somebody, and he was speeding.
He wasn't just doing 67. He killed somebody.
So if you're not going to give him a manslaughter, for goodness sakes, can you give the guy a speeding ticket, for crying out loud? Jesus.
Yeah, you should. That's what they do, honestly. That's what they do to normal people on the street. Like, they will literally throw all right, say for instance, this is pretty typical in South Dakota. Let's say and I'm not condoning the use of meth or something, but let's say, for instance, that you use meth, and all of a sudden somebody tells on you and they're like, hey, this guy's got some meth at his house. Well, when the cops come to your house, they charge you with about 5 different charges. Yeah. They'll charge you with keeping and maintaining a residence where drugs are used or sold. They'll charge you with a felony if you happen to live within a couple hundred feet of a school or a park. Mm-hmm. They'll charge you with a felony for ingestion of a controlled substance. And then they'll charge you with a felony for possession of a controlled substance. So there'll be like 4 or 5 charges stacked against you where it's literally the same exact charge. It's like, you got caught with drugs. That's the charge. It doesn't need to be 5 different charges. It's you got caught with drugs. So, yeah, in the case of this, it's the same thing. It's like, you guys could literally stack the charges on as many as you want.
Yeah.
Speeding. Mm-hmm. I mean, add whatever the fuck you want.
Trey says, I wish I hadn't tuned in. Now I'm just more pissed off about the whole thing. Sorry about that, Trey. That's what we do. That's what we're here for. Here's another little bit I was gonna talk about here. I think she talks about it next. I'll just keep playing.
Before we open up the phone lines, are there any other first-time questions in the room?
Here, hold on. Go to Daryl.
You know why?
Daryl says they do that so they can guarantee one sticks unless you're a VIP.
And the other reason they do that too is that so you take a plea bargain.
Yeah.
If you're just a regular person, right, and you get charged with 4 felonies, and each one of those felonies carries like 5 years in prison, then you're looking at 20 years in prison. So then when the prosecutor comes to you and they say, hey, we got this sweetheart deal for you, plead guilty to the one charge and we'll give you 5 years in prison. And then so then you're thinking, well, I don't really want to be charged with 4 crimes, I'll just take this plea bargain.
Yeah.
That's all
The Attorney General wasn't able to see Joseph Beaver when he was driving. Can you speak to that?
What I can speak to is that the description of that night. It was a very dark night. This was in a rural area.
It was a very dark night. That's the excuse. It's dark every night, lady.
For those that don't know, South Dakota experiences what Alaska goes through, where we got like 6 months of night during the winter. It's very dark.
It's so dark. Nobody should be driving when it's dark. I don't know. Headlights have not been invented. Man.
Not well lit by any.
Not well lit, so there's no headlights being used. Joseph Beaver was carrying a flashlight. Like, he did everything you're supposed to do to be seen while you're walking. He was walking to his, I think he was walking back from his truck. His truck broke down or something on the side of the road. So he walked to his truck to go get something. And while he was walking back, that's when he got hit. So he was walking towards facing traffic so he could see cars coming. He is carrying a flashlight so people could see that he was walking on the side of the highway. But somehow it was just a very dark night. Just a very dark night.
Artificial means. I think that there's lots of individuals that were passersby or that investigated, or that they don't realize why he was not observed on the night in question. It was a dark night. We don't have the answer to that.
This is a dark night. Joe Biden was right. It's going to be a dark winter, dark night.
But again, it's like it's just ridiculous because it's doublespeak. It's like you spent 5 months on this investigation. There should be absolutely no unanswered question.
Yeah.
No unanswered question.
Yeah.
I mean,
she even said there's no artificial light. It's like, you lied right there. So his headlights were off. It's like, oh, come on. So he's driving on the side of the road with his headlights off, and that's not reckless driving. Like, what is reckless driving?
It's only something you and I can do.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Let's see. I'm looking for another clip here to play.
I guess that's my goal. That's really my goal in politics this whole time, is at some point I would like to be above the law. So if I could just get whatever achievement that is, whatever position that is in government, I would love to be.
That's why we're here.
There were questions about the delay in the blood draw. There was a very, very thorough investigation conducted for every step that was taken by him in the hours preceding, and nothing.
You should play that part where the guy calls him out on all that crap. Where's
Yeah, I'll play that.
Because she just said everything was real thorough.
Very thorough.
Yeah,
but
he just blows that out of the water.
I did have that in the intro video, but it's so good. Let's play it again, because why not? We can talk about it while he's talking.
Yeah, some of the people didn't watch the intro.
Yeah. But yeah, very, very thorough
I just love that guy.
job.
I don't know who that is, but I want to send him like a gift basket.
We're about to find out. I think he'll say what group he's from.
Yeah, you said.
Here, let me go a little back, just a little bit, then we can see his name.
Part two of your question, whether this would have been somebody else would have been treated differently, the answer is no.
Bullshit.
Mr.
Damn
Ravnsborg
it!
was
I
treated
didn't
no
swear
different
this
than
whole
any other person
podcast,
would
and I
have been
just
treated
did.
under these circumstances.
Another phone question?
Todd F. Kello.com News.
All right, they say about Kello.com news.
Okay.
Yeah. Just replay it if you want to hear his name.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you said that Ravnsborg was treated like anybody else. In this instance, it seems like he was treated much better. The sheriff allowed him to use his car to go back into town.
Mm-hmm.
And you also said the investigation was extremely thorough, but the investigation wasn't thorough at the very get-go, was it? If the sheriff didn't do a breathalyzer, if the sheriff didn't do a complete look around the accident area with, the high-powered flashlights.
And the sheriff apparently walked by the body, which they mentioned earlier, but didn't see it. And Ravnsborg walked by the body and didn't see it. Man, it's just a whole bunch of bullcrap.
Do you think it's possible that Ravnsborg actually didn't stop for, say, a couple hundred feet?
Yeah.
And then
that's entirely possible.
That's exactly why nobody ever saw a body, because it's like, you weren't even in the same spot.
Yeah. I thought I had a picture on standby of the vehicle. I'll find it while we're playing the video.
Yeah, when you see this vehicle, it's pretty hard to imagine that you didn't
normally
know.
have. But then, isn't it true that this sheriff made your jobs a lot harder and made it a lot more difficult for evidence to be gathered that might have helped you prove the elements of the crimes that could have shown that the Attorney General was responsible for the death of Mr. Beaver?
Well, with any investigation, hindsight is 2020, and
just
things
admit
can
you
always
were
be done
wrong.
after we know to play Monday
From now
morning
on, whenever
quarterback
you're
and say
called
that
on
something should have been
bullshit,
different, I don't know. This
whenever
was
you're called
a
on something that you did
call
wrong,
out
just say
to
hindsight's
an accident
2020.
scene
Yeah.
in a rural area. You've listened to the 911 tape. The audio indicates that the 911 operator purports that this is maybe a deer crash, and it would not be unheard of to have law enforcement go to a situation like that.
I just want to mention that when you hit a deer, there's so much evidence that it was a deer. You have fur just everywhere. There's fur. Like there's fur in all the little dents and dings in your car where the deer hit. There'll be fur sticking out. There'll be like ripped out chunks of fur stuck in the glass of the car. Let's look at a picture of the car. Here's Ravnsborg's car. Look at this gaping hole on the left side. There'd be so much deer fur stuck in that hole that you would know instantly it was a deer. And if you didn't see any fur, you can reasonably suspect that what you didn't hit was a deer. And there's nothing else that'd be walking around. It wasn't a cow. The body would have gone flying through the air. It was a person. Here's a closer look here. If it's going to show. Is it not going to show? What's going on? Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh my God, I went away for a second. I don't know, my internet connection is being weird right now. I have no idea what's going on. I have nothing on but my laptop onto the internet. Somehow the internet's acting up a little bit. But yeah, there's a gaping hole.
Biden.
Yeah, there's no fur or anything on this car. There's no clear indication that a deer hit it. So why wasn't the sheriff searching? Like, it's got some comments here.
Yeah, it's not like it was it would not like it
Gerald
was.
says,
It
"Love
happened
this part."
January 1st in 10 degree, weather with 3 foot of snow on the ground. This happened 5 months ago.
Mhm.
What was that? I mean,
I
so
think that was like September. Yeah, it was.
September?
Yeah, no
Huh.
snow, September. But it was so dark, Greg. It's just dark. But it doesn't matter if it's dark because they've got the speed bumps or on the side of the road, the bumper things. Like if you leave the lane, you roll over it, it makes a loud grumbling sound, like you've left the lane. So how can they say he left the lane? We know, like those are on every highway. Every highway in South Dakota has those. Nikki says that journalist needs to run for office. Yes, I agree. And we're about to play more of what he says because he asked a follow-up question. That's really good. Nikki says, yeah, no, my car never looked like that after hitting a deer.
Yeah, that's the other thing about hitting a deer. I kind of live in a rural area. I used to commute 30 minutes one way every day to work. I've hit a few deer in my day, and every time I've hit a deer, I knew exactly what I hit.
Yeah, dude, it looks like something got lodged in his windshield. Like it looks like beaver might have been lodged in the windshield and the body was moved. A reporter asked about that later. We'll play that next. But I'm going to continue playing this reporter. It was really good. Super shout out to him.
And if they have somebody that they know or are comfortable lending a vehicle to, it would not be unheard of.
Last question on the
But
phone
isn't
is
it
Black
true
Hills
that
Pioneer.
it was the dispatcher? It was the dispatcher who put the idea in the mind of Ravnsborg that he may have hit a deer, because in the transcript he says he doesn't know what he hit. Wouldn't it have been prudent by both Ravnsborg and the sheriff at that time to actually take a good look around to see if it was a person or if it was a wounded animal, to put it out of its misery, or so it doesn't impede traffic later on that evening?
With respect to law enforcement actions and how they were notified of the accident of what type, I'm certain that had there been suspicion that there was something other than a car deer accident, it would have been handled differently.
We're going to take two more questions. Joe Snave from Argus Leader will begin.
Okay. Did you personally talk to Ravnsborg? And what did he say he was doing at the time of the impact? And secondly, is there any investigation or probe into the sheriff as well?
To my knowledge, none of the prosecutors have had any direct contact with Mr. Ravnsborg, specifically no contact with respect to the accident. And
fuck do you mean no prosecutors have had any contact with the goddamn
Do you know what
person?
Ravnsborg told investigators he was doing at the time of the impact?
I'm not going to go into the specific details of any of the interviews that were conducted.
Why not? That's the whole point of this press conference, I thought. But yeah, I really liked that.
That's actually code word for we just actually didn't talk to him at all. And we don't know. Because she literally said that earlier that she didn't know. And now all of a sudden it's, well, I'm not going to go into any details.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not going to go into any details. That's what this press conference is.
Nikki says, it's so strange. I've never heard any of our dispatchers even suggest to people that they hit something specific when they call in. Yeah, dude. The reply is, did you hit something or not? Yeah.
Actually, West River, I think it's, did you hit a buffalo?
34, 30, let's see, what was I going to 34.29. That's actually coming up here in a second, so I'll just keep playing it.
Austin Goss, Dakota News Now. It's been circulated that it was a possibility to use a grand jury in this case.
All right, never mind. We already actually heard that. 34.29. Let me just go to it.
Hey, what's this lady's name again? I want to write
Emily Sowell.
Okay. All right.
We'll do a 34.25. Yeah.
This case to a grand jury.
Is there any evidence that, or any indication that the body was moved at all? Was it in one place all night long before it was noticed?
there's no indication that there was any moving with the body.
She's just so dismissive of that question. There's no indication that there's moving of the body. I don't know. Those pictures of the car, I'll put it up again. I don't know. They sure look like the body entered the windshield. I don't know if you can zoom in on that on whatever device you're watching. Here's a better view. There's a big gaping hole there. How? I don't know. I think the body was moved. I think the sheriff helped. Lots of evidence there to point to it. I think he asked if the sheriff was being investigated, and she said no, too. Just dismissed that right away. Like, you're not going to investigate the sheriff that borrowed him his car, let him leave the scene of the crime, didn't see the body but walked right past it. Like, give me a break. There's even an article right when this happened that came out that said that people in the town were telling reporters that that sheriff's been known to give people rides home that were driving with drunk. It's like, man, crime for thee, but not for me, I guess. Or wait, is that how that goes? I don't know. Fool me once, Jim. Fool me twice. The point is, you can't fool me again. But yeah, I think that's
yeah, we kind of covered a lot of this on Thursday.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got.
Anyone have anything they want to add? 2 cents?
Yeah.
All in?
Last question, last callers. So for my extrication classes, did I pronounce that right, Greg? I'm so bad with words. I can state that something can indeed enter a windshield and come back out if there's enough force. And with the force he hit Beaver with, yeah, it's possible, but very suspicious. Yeah, so if a deer went into that windshield and then left, there's no way that glass didn't rip that fur off that deer, and that would have been just plainly visible. But whatever. It's South Dakota, I guess. There's one case. Here, I'm going to share one more article that I forgot to bring up earlier. And this didn't happen in South Dakota. It happened in Laverne, which is only 20 minutes away.
I sent you a meme I made real quick. I think I spelled the meme right.
All right, we'll put that Greg's meme up.
The darkest.
All right, yeah, this definitely needs to be shared.
I didn't watermark it. I suppose I could have. Nobody ever could be held accountable on such a dark night.
It was a dark night.
Now she spelled her name. Oh well.
All right, let me see if I can find this article. For some reason, it's just not showing up on my computer. Oh, here we go. So this happened in Laverne. So it's 20 minutes out of South Dakota, so they got different laws. So apparently their laws work for them. I don't know what's going on, but Wednesday, 25-year-old Army Guard, National Guardsman, was handcuffed in an orange jumpsuit in Laverne, Minnesota, facing criminal charges of that his negligent driving caused a woman's death. This was in July 2nd, 2014. According to the documents filed with the criminal complaint, Weber never saw Andrea Bove. Man, that's pretty similar to Beaver, even. Weird. A 33-year-old mother from Steen, Minnesota, who was killed Monday morning while bicycling on a southwest Minnesota highway with her 2 young children. He says, I came over the hill. I was on my cell phone at the time. I told an investigating officer, according to the documents, I don't remember seeing the gal or the bikes at all. Then all of a sudden I heard a thump like it hit something. Weaver told the officer that he saw the bike in his rearview mirror, pulled over, and ran back as fast as he could. Others immediately arrived on scene. Weber told a woman to call 911, and he and another man attempted CPR. So this guy hit somebody, stopped right away, performed CPR on them. And then here's another thing here. It says, asked if it would be fair then. He asked if it would be fair then to say, when he was talking to the cop, he said, would it be fair then to say that he was looking at his phone and not at the road? And the investigating officer said yes. So he admitted that he was on his phone too. And this guy was charged with vehicular homicide.
Well, was he an attorney general though?
I know, right? Too bad, man. He could have got off if he was.
Do not go into the moral of that story is do not go into the National Guard. Go into politics.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I've got for everybody. Oh, we got 2 more comments. Nikki says, I lived in Laverne when Janklow killed the man from the neighboring town. I even went to church with him. Totally crazy. What was Janklow charged? I'm going to see what Janklow was charged with, because Janklow did the same thing. That's what everybody's been saying.
He ran a stop sign though, so you could argue argue his was a little bit more reckless driving. Because I think he was even speeding like 100 miles an hour.
He was going 71 and a 55, ran a stop sign, killed a motorcyclist, and he was sentenced to, guess what, manslaughter. So, manslaughter in the 2nd degree. So
I guess what you're saying is it wouldn't matter if they even charged Ravnsborg with manslaughter. The guy would do Janklow did 100 days in jail, I think.
Dude, and guess what? They charged Ravnsborg with 3 misdemeanors. Each one, she said, is 30 days each, like the maximum. So, Ravnsborg's also facing 90 days. So, is that what their standard protocol is? If you're a state official and you kill someone in South Dakota negligently, recklessly, whatever, 100 days, whatever, slap your wrist. Mercedes says, hey. Nikki says, hey, murder is murder. Stop sign or rolled shoulder. Yo.
Oh, we lost me.
No, I got you. I got you. So, yeah, if you like the broadcast, make sure to like our Facebook page. We got one more comment here. Okay, fine. Unintentional murder. I don't know. Vehicular homicide. I feel like since he tried to cover it up, he should get an even more extreme charge.
I think he should be treated the same way anyone else would, and everyone else would have been charged with something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sympathetic to the fact that, I do a lot of driving, and I would hate to accidentally run a pedestrian over or whatever. Honestly, I could see that happening to just about anybody. So I'm sympathetic to that. But he should still be charged. And at the very least, he should resign. Resign. Yeah. Enough with this. Oh, I don't want to swear again, but enough with this nonsense and resign. Do the right thing and resign. I think he knows that he will never serve another day in public office again. And so he's just milking this out for all it's worth, because this is the end of the road for him. He might very well be sued into the poorhouse.
Nikki says nobody in office should be above the law, period, regardless of office. I agree. I just remembered we got a couple more points that we're going to be mentioned in this press release coming out from the Libertarian Party of South Dakota. Some of the contradictions that we heard in the press conference.
Is that done? Maybe you should read it if it's done.
It is. I'm just waiting for XCOM to be like, yeah, you can email this out. But 3 more of the contradictions. The first one we mentioned was how could Ravnsborg and the sheriff walk by the body and not see it? Because they said they walked by the body, and what is this? What are you kidding me? How could you not see it? And then she says there was a very, very thorough investigation for every step of the way. And just like we heard that reporter say, there was no breathalyzer or blood draw given the night of the accident. So how can you say that it was a very, very thorough investigation? They also say, oh yeah, go ahead, Greg.
No, I was just, you go ahead with the press release.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something, but
well, okay. I was going to give credit, which I probably shouldn't, but I was going to give credit.
Okay, I'll just keep going then. Just kidding.
I was going to give credit to the Democrats who immediately after that press release the other day, or after that press conference.
Yeah, look. They did release they released their press release. They released it within like 5 minutes, but it's literally just their vice chair and one quote, and they didn't even like break anything down. Our press release is gonna nail every contradiction that was made. It's gonna be way more elaborate. So screw the Democrats' press release. Ours is gonna be better anyways.
I just wanted to give them credit because they came out right away and said that they were calling for his resignation. And, that's partisan politics. They would do that. Just if it was their own candidate who was the attorney general, I doubt they would, be principled and call for that dude's resignation. But, I give a little bit of credit where credit's due. If I was Kristi Noem and the other officials in the Republican Party, I would be putting the pressure on Ravnsborg to resign. Like, you're just making us look bad.
Yeah. I mean, like, she can't like force him to resign, but she can call for it. That'd be a leadership for her to do that, which we don't really get much of from her.
I guess I don't want to see that happening because then I'd have to give credit where credit's due again.
Another thing they said in the press release was nothing was indicative of Jason Ravnsborg being under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Well, the guy left his lane of traffic and killed somebody, so I don't know what, I think you can raise a high suspicion that he was on alcohol or drugs, and he wasn't given a breathalyzer for a whole day afterwards, so you can't use that as evidence that he wasn't drunk.
They definitely like to gloss over that fact, thorough.
Yeah. And Beaver was carrying a flashlight. He was carrying a flashlight. So, like, how could you miss this guy? We're also gonna mention how Ravnsborg lied on his 911 call because he said he saw something in the middle of the road, which was not true. So he's already from the get-go trying to cover up what he did. And we're going to cover the sheriff giving him his personal vehicle instead of not walking by the body, not properly investigating the scene. We got a few more comments. Nikki says, love, love, love. I think there's some more comments, but I'm glitching out here. Oh, here we go. Drop that ass like a hot potato, guilty by association. But yeah, if you like the content you got today, wait. We got to remind everybody here. We got a big Zoom meeting coming up. There's an event. Yep, Thursday, February 25th at 7 o'clock Central Time. There's an event on the Libertarian Party of South Dakota Facebook page with the Zoom link. So make sure if you're from South Dakota that you attend the Zoom meeting. We're going to have a good time there. We're going to pregame for the convention coming up. The convention, of course, is coming in Sioux Falls, March 20th. Location is going to be soon. We're going to know that.
I'm hoping we can get that nailed out by this
week. I will be electing a entirely new executive committee. So there should be lots of good, hopefully, debates and a lot of engagement. And if you like the content today, please like our Facebook page, Hedgehog Watchdog Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Hedgehog WDog. And we're also part of the Free Speech Media Network. And you can check us out and a lot of other great libertarian-oriented podcasts at trovo.live/free speech media. And speaking of, I'm going to check make sure there's no comments that we missed in there. What's up, Hedgehogs? Oh, that's from you.
Yeah, I've been in there. There hasn't been anything.
But that's everything we've got for you tonight, and we'll see you next Sunday at 7 p.m. We got Austin Eastman. He's running for governor of South Dakota in 2022. So it should be a good show to watch. And
Another one of those young guys.
Yeah.
Gunning for office.
Hungry.
Well,
yeah, right? We'll see you all next Sunday.
See you next Sunday.